Hey guys! How are all of you beautiful people doing? I hope you all are having a great day. And yes, this is the next part of I Became Shikamaru Nara, where the world that once seemed fictional is now real. Shinobi, chakra. It's all so close. After being reborn in the body of a deceased child, the hero has a second chance to live this life anew. Having found a new home and clan, he will have a long and difficult journey. But the object that was found in the past and changed his fate is still with him. Now, with this power, he will follow the path of the strongest Shinobi. So without any delay, let's start the series. Shikamaru waved his thoughts aside and slowly walked between the gravestones, moving on to the nearby silhouette in front. The girl's golden hair fluttered slightly in the wind, but she continued to stand motionless between the two tombstones with her head down and her eyes closed. Shikamaru slowly walked up to her and silently began to examine the familiar tombstones. He had already seen them last year when he found Avi here, so this time she is here. At the grave of their parents. They died shortly before the fox attack, and so she was left alone. Her parents were in anew, so it is not surprising that the girl wants to join the elite squad. Not so long ago, she became a jonin and she had very little left to achieve her goal. Shikamaru didn't talk much, he just wanted to support her at least with his presence. She was his friend, that's all he could do. Some things sometimes don't need words. Moreover, he did not know what to say to her, for him even being here seemed too unnatural. Maybe a year ago he would not have noticed the oddities in himself, but now his feelings have changed. It was as if he began to understand something that was eluding him all this time. His personality. Avi continued to stand at the graves of her parents, completely oblivious to Shikamaru. Only the edges of her lips rose imperceptibly, and then the old sadness crawled over her face. After a few minutes, Avi finally smiled warmly, opened her eyes and bowed, whispered, "Dad, Mom, I was glad to see you." Turning around, the girl looked at Shikamaru and quietly asked, "Why did you come?" "I passed by, I see you." Shikamaru looked away and sighed. There is silence as usual. Avi stared at the guy, then grinned wryly. "This is a cemetery." Turning around and throwing a fleeting glance at a couple of gravestones, Avi smiled a little. "I'll go." Shikamaru nodded and fell silent. After walking a few meters, Avi stopped and gathered her thoughts, whispered, "Thank you." "For what?" the guy asked without turning around. The girl smiled a little. "It doesn't matter." After saying that, she leisurely left the cemetery, leaving Shikamaru alone with her thoughts. With a sigh, the guy examined the two tombstones. True. I was not like this before, new life, new connections, but still the same character. I am trying to be what I am not. And I do not feel any special attachments. Friendship. Maybe only Tukji, yet I grew up with him. He's probably the only one I can call a true friend. Then why am I here? Also a question. With a sigh, Shikamaru shook his head. How difficult it is to find your way and understand everything. I have never worried about such issues before, I always had a goal. But now is the time to understand. I hope the mission will help at least in something, yet even now, I still have not decided who I am. Returning home, Shikamaru, as usual, had dinner with his parents, and then returned to his room to do the inking of seals. Yoshino, as always, was loving, and Shikaku was unusually brooding, so he had become a long time ago. Shikamaru could only breathe at that. He was not his son, but he was not able to talk about it either. Everything in Shikamaru's room turned out to be the same, but now only a candle was burning and the only sound in the room was the quiet chirping of crickets and the barely audible grinding of a pen on paper. After an hour of work, Shikamaru took off his shirt, stretched and yawned. Difficult. If I can't get the correct placement of the elemental markers, then the 5-element alignment seal and the reveal key won't be able to align. If everything works out, I can come up with a good printing technique. But I'm still missing something. I'm sure it won't work completely. Mito used something completely incomprehensible. This seal on her scroll is not tied to the genealogy, but to some incomprehensible sequence of special seals. Some of them I could find in a pile of scrolls, but the rest are not there for some reason. It's strange. After all, Mito left the scroll there, so there must be a method of printing. If I can combine these two techniques, then I can open one seal. There will be only 3. Maybe this was the calculation. To create the most necessary jutsu, as an option. In the worst case, you have to find a bunch of chakra and just break through with force. Maybe Naruto will do. Shikamaru shook his head with a grin. Now I'm almost sitting on a bomb, one wrong action and my father will do something. Even his shogi games turned into brooding glances. He realizes that I understand his actions, but he waits. He probably lacks the determination to test me. Yet I am his son, even if it seems strange to myself. He saw how I was growing, so he would definitely not act so sharply. Yes, and Raizeenn is not idle. Having massaged his temples, Shikamaru got up from his chair. Moonlight fell on the boy's relief back, completely unlike a nursery. When he turned around, moonlight enveloped his chest and abs. Over the years of training, only the face of the child's body remained, otherwise it was almost a man. Even the height of Shikamaru far surpassed his peers. In appearance he was already almost a teenager, and the muscle mass even of many experienced Knin did not match his own. Yet his body had pedigree advantages and this helped in growth and development. But in his heart, he had long forgotten how old he was after all. Having reached this age, now he was experiencing a strange mental turn. After extinguishing the candle, Shikamaru lay down on the blood and closed his eyes, said, 2 months. Let's take a look. Saying this, the guy fell into a long sleep. Time flew by unnoticed. Sometimes Shikamaru did not even believe that he had already lived so much in this Shinobi world, and now, he was already 10 years old. In the past, at this age, he was just starting his way in a small criminal gang of street thieves. There were already fewer difficulties with food and housing, but years of hard work and survival still lay ahead of the carefree days. Not only here, surrounded by family and friends, but also luck in the form of a system and knowledge. It was all like a fairy tale, but this made him more and more doubtful and on the watch, and memories from the past made themselves felt more and more. A child's mind with an adult soul was changing. Shikamaru became more and more aware of himself. Before he was subjected to the limitations of the child's body, and now they slowly dissipated and even thoughts became clearer. That was growing up. Birthday, a holiday with family and friends, Shikamaru received congratulations and gifts. The day was pleasant, but it was different from the previous birthdays. Shikamaru himself changed, he became more and more himself. Then a quiet evening, filled with a fresh autumn breeze. This is how Shikamaru reached the face of the first Hokage and sat on his head, carved out of stone. Sipping sake, the guy finally relaxed after a hard day. Shikamaru didn't have that many friends, but most of them were too noisy. This time, even several former classmates came to his birthday: Naruto, Kiba, Shino, Hinata, Sakura. Ino did a good job. Not that Shikamaru was particularly angry, but rather that he didn't care about the day at all. In the past, he did not celebrate birthdays, and even over the years he lived here he was not used to this day. After a difficult childhood, the holidays seemed not so bright and happy. Although the smiling faces of Ino and Sakura, their eternal skirmishes with each other, and sometimes with Ji, involuntarily made the reflecting Shikamaru smile. Sipping sake and sitting comfortably on the edge of the stone head, the guy looked around Konoha with pleasure. Autumn has come, the most beautiful and romantic time of the year. Taking a sip of his sake, Shikamaru gazed into the sunset with a rather smiling smile. Yes, what a wonderful day. First I destroyed one of the seals and created such a strong jutsu, and now I also drink good sake while admiring the sunset. Okay. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang out from behind Shikamaru. I am glad that you are living well, I hope you have already prepared. Shikamaru lifted the bottle of sake without turning around and asked. Master, isn't Konoha beautiful? Raizeenn chuckled, took off his hat and sat down near Shikamaru, also peering into the crimson sunset. You can't argue here, every year it is more beautiful. Shikamaru glanced at the old man out of the corner of his eyes, then took a sip of sake and nodded. You have grown old. Ha! Raizeenn sighed and shook his head. All people get old, but I myself have already begun to forget my years. It would be a great replacement to wait and you can peacefully retire. All your predecessors did not live to see retirement. Although, you're lucky. Lucky. Raizeenn smiled sadly. If you call it luck. Shikamaru paused, then asked, not taking his eyes off the setting sun. But what about your students, or Kakashi Hatake? They are quite worthy to take on the title. The old man's wrinkled face broke into a bitter grin. My students, everyone but you is far from here. Plus, they would never agree to take my place. As for Kakashi, he's not ready yet, his soul is still a mess. Shikamaru did not answer, he just shook the liquid at the bottom of the bottle, looked inside, then asked. And Dan's? Raizeenn threw a scowl at the student. You understand everything, why ask? Yes. After taking a few more sips, Shikamaru closed his eyes contentedly, and then asked, so why did you come? Congratulate me. If yes, then I received your gift. Stretching out his left hand, Shikamaru quickly folded several seals and said quietly. Open up. At the same moment, a blue glow escaped from the ring on his finger and a long, carved staff appeared in the guy's hands. It was almost all red, with golden tops shaped like monkey heads. The staff itself was painted with green foliage, and in the very center there was a golden bandage, especially for the owner's hand. Very nice. Thank you, teacher. Come on, Raizeenn waved his hand. It's just a gift. You gave me a good printing technique, how could I not come up with something special? Shikamaru smiled and folded the seals again with one hand with a crisp clap, sealed the staff in a ring. Observing everything, Raizeenn asked in surprise. This is a ring, this is a hidden chakra weapon. Shikamaru nodded. Partly, I could not repeat it completely, my abilities are not enough. That's why I have to fold so many stamps. Usually the ring needs to be tied to the owner, but I did not succeed in that either. Knowing the correct seals, my ring can still be cracked. It's a pity, but I can only seal my personal belongings there, no special techniques for a covert attack are provided. The true description of the power of this ring is astounding. Raizeenn looked thoughtfully at the ring and said, I haven't seen them for a long time. Only a few of the Uzumaki Jonin wore these rings. It was a truly dangerous hidden weapon. In World War I, the Uzumaki used a variety of gruesome methods of assassination. They sealed regions, filling them with invisible traps, using weapons like these rings. It looks like a trinket and only the owner is able to activate its power, even from a distance. They turned harmless things into deadly weapons. Sometimes the enemy's kunai could turn out to be an explosive trap prepared in advance, and these rings. Ordinary genins or ordinary people, entering the enemy's camp, could simply be carriers, and the Shinobi activated a seal on the ring from a distance, and then a technique sealed inside that killed most opponents on the spot. These were the times of the most terrible sabotage. It was from then that the Uzumaki clan began to truly fear. Their presence in the war could change everything. The current Fuinjutsu cannot be compared. All because we are simply not able to repeat them. Even explosive seals are just paper tricks, and true explosive seals were almost impossible to identify from a piece of rock or twig on the road. It's just a pity. But all this is in the past, at least it was, before you appeared. Now I don't even know what else you'll do. Wow, Shikamaru breathed out in surprise, I didn't know about that. So, if the Uzumaki were so dangerous, I can understand the desire to get rid of them, but... Shikamaru narrowed his eyes and asked a question that had been of interest to him for a long time. Then how did the enemies manage to destroy them? If they were not ready to attack, why did they lose so easily with all their capabilities? Raizeenn looked thoughtfully at the already almost completely hidden sun, after which he sighed sadly. I don't know. At that time, I sent a platoon of elite anew under the command of 3 Uchiha masters to help our ally in the maelstrom. Their strength was very great, even if they could not save the Uzumaki, they at least had to do something or return with a message. But in the end, the old man sighed and shook his head. Everyone disappeared. Among the remains of the killed Uzumaki, they were not found. The clan itself was almost completely exterminated. It's hard to say why, because of fear, envy or greed, but they were attacked suddenly, joining forces. A minority survived, probably only those who were not present in the village at that time. The Uzumaki forces were terrifying, so the much outnumbered enemy left most of his people in those ruins. Plus, they didn't get anything from that trip. In the main temple, the Uzumaki destroyed everything they ever possessed with them. Shikamaru took a sip of his sake and sighed. It's still hard to believe. They were able to seal the Baija and I doubt the story is that simple. Maybe you're right, Raizeenn nodded thoughtfully. I also noticed some oddities. The arrival of Kushina can be attributed to fate, but the disappearance of the people I sent is not so simple. With a sigh, the old man stood up. Okay, Shikamaru. Now it doesn't matter, if you are so interested, I will explore everything in the future. With your skills in Fuin it should be more successful. Most of the seals I found at the site of the ruins were completely incomprehensible to me. In any case. Putting on his hat, Raizeenn coughed and looked at his student. I picked up an assignment for you. Just 2 days ago an interesting case came in. It will suit you perfectly. B-rank assignment, and maybe higher. This is the complexity of the issue. Usually intelligence brings a lot of news, but this time our Knin did not return. The Shinobi that you have to face is very secretive and ruthless. I would send Anbu, but this time it will definitely be you. You have already sat up here, recall the clones and go on a mission. You are already ready, I know that for sure. Shikamaru nodded curtly. Yeah, I'll try. Try. With a satisfied grin, Raizeenn disappeared into a cloud of smoke, leaving behind a small scroll. Reaching out his hand, Shikamaru lifted the parchment and, walking over it with a serious look, finally smiled. Murder of civilians. Acid-scorched flesh. So we have a serial killer here, and even with addictions. Let's see. Too little information. I'm even surprised that he decided to send me to something like that right away. With a grin, Shikamaru nodded. Surely he will send someone after. Lost in thought, Shikamaru remembered something and shook his head. Although what am I coming up with? Remembering that very first Naruto mission, I am sometimes amazed at how our intelligence works. Although Kakashi himself led them to such a thing, it was strange for a shinobi of his rank. Well, okay, now I'm more interested in this killer. Having completely emptied the bottle of sake, the guy stretched out and yawned, and then stood up. Okay, it's time to finally finish with the leveling, and then on the mission. The third person remembered about the traditions and decided to transfer the mission to me himself. The last time it was not he who gave the clone. I was waiting for this day. With a grin, Shikamaru folded the seal and leaving behind a blurred silhouette disappeared without a trace. Once in a deep forest on the outskirts of the village, Shikamaru breathed in fresh air. A good place. After walking just a couple of meters, the guy stopped at a cliff, from the opposite side of which a long waterfall fell, and at the very bottom a winding river flowed. It was here that Shisui Uchiha once committed suicide by bestowing his Sharingan on Itachi. Much changed that day. Shikamaru had been here a couple of times, but naturally he couldn't find anything. The place was very handy for a quick pumping, but for a start it was worth getting rid of the problems. Without even turning his head, Shikamaru knew about the surveillance. Probably, the follower guessed about his knowledge, but now it doesn't matter. With a grin, Shikamaru took out a piece of paper, poured chakra into it and threw it on the ground, after which he shouted. Explosion! At the same moment, the seal flashed, and then an incredibly burning glow spread in all directions. Hiding in one of the trees, a slender masked figure closed his eyes and closed his eyes. What is he doing again? Flashed through the head of the dark-haired swordsman. At the same time, Shikamaru folded his hand seals, summoned a shadow clone, and then, using a simple technique, disappeared from view, rushing off the cliff towards the waterfall. At its foot, he folded the seal and shouted. Open up! At the same moment, right behind the waterfall, two Fuin seals lit up, after which the stone trembled and went inside a meter, opening a small passage into a makeshift cave. Shikamaru instantly slipped inside, folded the seal and blocked the entrance. At the same time, the explosive light seal ceased to function, revealing a view of a completely empty space. Shinobi Anew was immediately startled. She was already expecting something like this. As she was about to rush to find Shikamaru, she suddenly stopped and narrowed her eyes. On the opposite side of the narrow canyon stood a grinning guy. He waved to the girl, then sat down in the lotus position and closed his eyes. The girl snorted in annoyance and returned to the shadows. For her, what happened was not particularly surprising. This isn't the first time Shikamaru has thrown something like this, but the explosive seal of light is something new. Even as an experienced shinobi, she had never encountered such a weapon. At the same time, Shikamaru was finally able to breathe out in relief. His clone took over the surveillance, and he himself could calmly engage in pumping. The clone could probably fizzle out in the process, even if it was the only one created today. Chakra can get messy after new bloodlines, so cute Yugao will have to search around. Well, her chances of finding my refuge are not very great. The old man will definitely find it, but I found out almost everything about each of the anew in the village. She is not very strong in her search. If that guy named Kij was here, he would have had a chance. His clan specializes in stalking. In any case, I have time and now I will be more circumspect in pumping. Last time was too painful, and pain suppression pills are expensive. Let's start. With a serious look, Shikamaru calmly said. First, let's take a look at the completed tasks. Tasks. Completed. Dash control. Reach at least 150 control points. Rewards, 10,000, Bloodline Enhancement Pill. Ninjutsu. Learn 10 ninjutsu at least C rank. Reward 300 points, Special Grade Ninjutsu Scroll, Sunday Memory Manipulation Technique. Genjutsu. Learn 10 Genjutsu at least C rank. Reward 500 points, Special Grade Genjutsu Scroll, Nirvana Temple Technique. Taijutsu. Learn 10 Taijutsu techniques at least C rank. Reward 500 points, Special Grade Taijutsu Scroll, Acrobat. Master Fuing. Develop a technique for one of the jutsu subtypes at least B rank. Awards, 2,000 points. Special reward, Fuinjutsu plus 500 points of fate, Kaito Uzumaki's Ritual Seal Set. Young Genin. Complete 100 D rank missions. Reward, 1,000 fate points. Experienced Genin. Complete 50 ranked missions. Reward, 3,000 fate points. Along the Genjutsu path. Reach chakra control, 100, learn 3 Genjutsu at least B rank, exceed Yin, 30%. Reward, 5,000 points of fate, Pill of Purification of Chakra Channels 2, Pill of Strengthening of State 2. Special reward, 2,000 points, Yamanaka Bloodline. Knin Power. Reach 1,000 chakra volume, 150 strength and stamina, 200 speed. Reward, 5,000 points of fate, Pill of Body Cleansing from Toxins X2. Special reward, plus 2,000 fate points, Chakra Storage Expansion Pill. Jonin Uzumaki. Develop your own Fuinjutsu at least a rank. Reward, 10,000 points of fate, Elixir of Enhancement of the Element of Water X2. Special reward, 2,000 fate points, Elixir of Lightning Release X2. After reviewing each of the awards, Shikamaru whistled contentedly. Say what you don't say, but although the system significantly cut the rewards, they still turned out to be huge, and other tasks after completing these gave hope for the future. Of course, those assignments are terribly difficult. The likelihood of their completion in the coming year is too small, except, of course, the task for the power of Jonin. In his execution, Shikamaru was very close, he only lacked speed, which did not grow. Over the past 2 months, physical indicators have grown only by a miserable 1 or 2 points, besides, these 2 were only in speed. How to raise the other 4 Shikamaru could not yet decide for sure. Yet he had the hope of being amplified by bloodlines. He has already made a choice for the future in the past, but with so many points, it is possible to revise some plans, quite a bit. Concentrating, Shikamaru began counting the points of destiny. So, 30,000 and 13,800, in the end 43,800, and with my past 59,100 points. Whistling in amazement, Shikamaru shook his head with a sneer. This is already some kind of overkill. Focusing on all the pills and techniques, Shikamaru nodded in satisfaction. Not bad, too, I have not waited in vain for several years. Elixirs of water and lightning, it may seem that they are useless, but in fact they will help me overcome the threshold of entry to the 5 elements. Unfortunately, there is no assignment for this, but mastering a new element is not so easy. After crossing the threshold, everything will be easier. With the wind, I did. Next. Pills to cleanse and expand storage. Not bad either, but the pedigree enhancement pill comes in handy, especially now. In terms of techniques, everything turned out bearable. I don't understand what they mean, but acrobat reminds me of something. In any case, it doesn't matter. Now it's worth seeing what I have in stock and thinking a little. With this thought, Shikamaru began to collect all the awards quickly. When he finished with them, he rubbed his black ring and smiled. Still, I was lucky with Uzumaki. Thanks to Mito, I was able to create a great ring. Even if it cannot be compared to the original, it doesn't matter. Carrying a huge scroll with my pills and things would be problematic, but here is just a ring. Now I only have a couple of seals in my bags and I wear kunai, it made life much easier. True, chakra metal turned out to be not easy to process, but this is a minor problem. I think if I can get to Kiri, then it will be easier to find an improved metal. They say they have a special steel. Folding one-handed hand seals, Shikamaru unsealed 2 black wooden boxes from the ring, on top of which were red kanji, which meant, Nara. Shikamaru was not against his surname, although every year he felt less and less a member of the clan. He had not yet come up with his own symbol, so the last name was enough. Opening both boxes, Shikamaru nodded in satisfaction. Okay, let's replenish supplies. With this in mind, Shikamaru put all the received elixirs and pills from the recent awards into these boxes to the rest of the pills and elixirs. Now he already has a decent amount of them. Elixir of strengthening muscles 2. Elixir of bone strengthening 2. Elixir of strengthening of the body 2. Elixir of lightning attribute enhancement 2. Elixir of enhancement of element water 2. Special elixir of elemental enhancement. Chakra storage expansion pill. Pill of body cleansing from toxins 2. Bloodline boost pill. Bloodline stabilization pill X2. Chakra recovery pill. Chakra storage expansion pill. Looking at this wealth, the guy involuntarily smiled. If you accept them now, it will help to complete both the task for the power of Jonin and the task for mastering the elements. There were, of course, useless things, like a detoxification pill, but it could help a little under good circumstances. I'll take a pill of purification after pumping. We'll see with the elixirs, they won't be superfluous. There is no need to take lightning and water either. Strengthening elements will only be effective with a few. It makes no sense to increase the element more than 100%, and when I take a pedigree with a predisposition to lightning, it will be possible to drink the elixir of strengthening this element. It would be nice to leave it for the future, maybe I will. But I will need to take the pill to strengthen the pedigree. Now I expect to slightly raise the Uzumaki, invest in Kaguya and those that I will take now. The only question is, what should I take? Should he act according to the old plan, or can he bet on the new Hyuga Dojutsu? Imagining all the pleasant consequences of owning the Bakugan, Shikamaru involuntarily broke into a bawdy grin. Say what you don't say, but probably anyone would dream of getting those eyes for such tricks. On the other hand, the Bakugan was not cheap. But at the same time, with his current number of points, one could even swing at Ketsuryugan and get 2 dojutsu at once. having completed the next task. Looking at it this way, it was very profitable. Folding his fingers and closing his eyes, Shikamaru began to consider all the options, wanting to find the most profitable and acceptable way for himself at the moment, brushing aside all the bawdy thoughts, inspired by the hormonal transition of the body. Okay, let's see. First, let's count the points. I have 59,000. I will take the Kaguya Bloodline Boost pill and be rewarded for Jinin's strength right away. The problem is that I do not know the awards, they have stopped showing, and this makes it difficult to count on the future. It is better not to assume with the system, so you should immediately spend a pill on Kaguya's pedigree, and then we'll see. With this thought, Shikamaru pulled out one of the pills and immediately threw it into his mouth, having previously selected Kaguya's pedigree in the system. A few minutes later, the amplification process began. After another time, Shikamaru let out a long breath. Great, that was enough. When the notification came about the completion of the task, Shikamaru nodded contentedly. Well, I was just counting on something like that. I immediately got 20 points in 3 indicators, and this is very good. With such success, you can buy a couple more pills and get an additional 15 points, and this will help to complete the task on strength. In the end I can get another 10,000, minus 4,000 for the pills, I can get 4,000 points clean. Not bad. Nodding thoughtfully, Shikamaru did not hesitate to buy 2 more bloodline enhancement pills and immediately ate the first. When she finished the amplification process, he followed by ate the second one. He no longer took medications altogether. The case with Uzumaki taught him a lot. Quickly reviewing the status and receiving another notification at the same instant, the guy nodded. Well, very well. Dash Force. Reach 250 power points. Reward, 10,000 points of fate, S-grade Forbidden Taijutsu Scroll. Jonin's power. Reach 2000 chakra volume, 215 strength and endurance, speed, 125 chakra control. Possession of 10 techniques of at least B rank and 1 A rank. Develop your own B rank minimum jutsu. Reward, 20,000, Pill of Mutation, Special Elixir of Enhancing Elements, Absorbing Seal of the Dead Demon. Special Reward, Bloodline Fusion Pill. Looking at the next points of fate, Shikamaru could only smile contently. The special award was also pleasing. Last time he received a special award for the Genjutsu Way, Knin Strength, Jonin Uzumaki. All of them related to age. Shikamaru was superior to ancestors and other ninja in this aspect thanks to the system. Now he made an even greater gap, because the current pumping will be just incredible. Although, of course, to call Shikamaru's growth incredible would be an exaggeration. He is already 10 years old and he has lived in this world for only 6 years. At one time, Naruto and Sasuke, from useless genin in some 4 years, reached almost the strength of demigods, so such growth was actually not particularly surprising when you think about it. Although, Shikamaru did have some advantages over reincarnations. After receiving all the awards, Shikamaru nodded contentedly. Not bad, almost 80,000, this time I surpassed all imaginable boundaries. I'm afraid after my release I will definitely reach the power of the elite Jonin, and this is 10 years. Yeah. The mutation pill is curious, I wouldn't buy it like that, but I'm very ready to use it in a free copy. It would be nice to try. I hope these mutations are useful. The seal of absorption is useless, since I already have her scroll. If I had mastered her and could have given another reward, it's unpleasant. But, all this does not matter, but the merger pill. Yes, it is, perhaps, no worse than the main reward. This pill is not cheap, but its use is something special. I'll definitely use it later. With that in mind, Shikamaru returned to the quest list and opened the status. Now I had to think about what to buy. With his current number of points, great prospects opened up. Even Mokutan was quite affordable now. The question remained, where to start, and is the element of the tree worth such a waste? Looking at everything, Shikamaru rubbed his temples. So many things, it's hard even to concentrate. I do not want to choose the most profitable option, but I have already received a lot of benefits. I rather want not to be very stupid, small mistakes will be tolerable. I've already done something stupid anyway because of my views or decisions. Although they were influenced by the child's body, but still. I have almost completely become myself, so now I cannot write off everything to age. Gene expansion pill +1 bloodline slot, pill limit 3 times, then only improved gene expansion pill. Improved gene expansion pill +1 bloodline slot and additional bloodline mutation bonus. Pill of mutation, gives a unique mutation to one of the bloodlines, mutation is random. Bloodline merge pill, special pill, allows you to merge 2 bloodlines into one and as a result produces a mutation. Bloodlines must be at least 50% strength. Improved bloodline fusion pill, allows you to merge 4 bloodlines into one and grants an additional random mutation to a unique bloodline. All pills have limits, just like the pedigree enhancement pill. Simply put, the pill for expanding the chakra storage, after each intake, reduces the bonuses from the usual +1000 to the chakra. After the second intake there will be +800, from the third +500, from the fourth +300, and the fifth is only 100+, which is naturally unreasonable to buy. A higher tier pill is already more profitable to take. As for the pills of purification by +3, these are pills of the first order, increases only by +3, pills of the second order increase immediately by +10. For example, pill of purification of chakra channels +3 to control and improved pill of purification of chakra channels +10 to control. Taking the pill at +3 keeps this +3 bonus for only 3 accepts. After the third, the bonus will decrease by +2, and after the sixth, by +1 at all. It's the same for the improved pill, only the number of moves increases to 5 between decreases in effectiveness. Simply put, the enhanced pill needs to be taken a full 5 times to become +9 instead of +10. Shikamaru pondered as he continued looking through the assignments. It doesn't take much to reach 250 in speed. With Kaguya's pedigree I will be able to achieve the desired value, only endurance can be a problem. These restrictions gave me a headache. The first is quite doable, but the second is worth postponing. In total, I have 3 pedigrees pumped up to 400%, Uzumaki only up to 350, but this is not a problem. It remains to find one pedigree and make it 400%, then another task will be ready. Another assignment on the elements, I can complete it right now, but everything is the same here. I'm not going to give up the lightning, an extra genome will come in handy and possession of the elements. Therefore, perhaps first I will reach the required speed. At this thought, Shikamaru took out one of his elixirs. It was a transparent bottle, and quite familiar. During the first acceptance, this elixir helped him a lot. Moreover, at that time everything seemed completely different. The descriptions weren't even true. Previously, the elixir had a limit of 500 points of strength and endurance, but now this value has decreased by almost half. Probably, the system somehow recalculated the indicators and now everything is different. It was strange, but the essence of the elixir has not changed. Shikamaru had only taken it once in the past, but now it was the second. Its effectiveness was naturally terribly low. The description changed quite a bit. Now after 150 in strength and speed, the elixir's effectiveness is simply ridiculous. It was a little reckless to waste it so easily, yet a simple genin could help him incredibly rise. But Shikamaru was not going to give such a gift to anyone, it could cause problems. Previously, he could have thought about it, but now no longer. Largely thanks to this elixir, he received the data for training the 8 gates, so he treated him with some respect. Since he was not going to give it away, all that remained was to accept. Leaving it for a while would have been a waste. It was time to use up some of the reserves. The gains will be sad, but over 250 in speed I have to move. With this thought, Shikamaru drank the elixir, waited until it worked and then immediately took the next one. It was pointless to store them now, he was not going to help others and share the benefits. Whom he wanted to help, he has already helped, now only pumping and savings. After a couple of minutes, the guy exhaled with relief. Done, now you can start Kaguya's bloodline. After his words, he immediately took out the fusion pill. I think it will not be superfluous to risk it here, at the same time I will understand how everything works. Just first, you need to equalize the strength of the 2 bloodlines. This is an important condition in the description of the pill. At the same moment, Shikamaru bought the enhancement pill and quickly swallowed it. His Kaguya lineage was only 400%, and Nara's 425. If they are not equalized, the merger will be impossible. This was quite an important condition. Moreover, to strengthen 2 bloodlines combined into one, the enhancement pill will not allow them to be strengthened in the same way as a regular one. Improved pills are available to strengthen unified bloodlines. But even so, their price was only twice as high. It was not so scary. The price of 2 pills turned out to be exactly the same, so everything was calculated perfectly. Having finished with the bloodline enhancement pill, Shikamaru immediately swallowed the fusion pill without hesitation. After just a couple of seconds, the guy felt the first changes, and then a notification popped up in front of his eyes. Select merge. Immediately after that, Shikamaru focused on the 2 selected bloodlines. At the same moment, a second notice appeared before his eyes. Nara, Kaguya, merging. It was more logical to choose the most useless pedigrees to reduce the risks. But Shikamaru once wanted to get rid of Inuzuka, so he decided to carry out such a merger. He did not know what consequences awaited him, but the losses of the Uchiha or Uzumaki may be too painful and difficult to replace, but the losses of Kaguya or Nara could be quite bearable. So he took a chance. Anyway, Shikamaru doubted that the system would simply undo all the effects of the bloodline. Otherwise it would be too weird and the pill would definitely not have cost that much. She clearly had another special effect. In addition, it could be applied only 3 times, this prompted positive thoughts. After a couple of minutes, Shikamaru suddenly felt weak all over his body and an unpleasant fever, and then everything began to blur in front of his eyes. Another minute and he completely lost consciousness. After an unknown amount of time in a damp and cold cave, the guy finally began to slowly open his stuck eyelids. Shikamaru's entire body trembled at the same moment, after which it immediately stopped. He stood up and yawned, and then examined his hands with interest. Everything was covered with a whitish-red slime. In appearance, as always, this sight was not a pleasant one. But Shikamaru was not particularly worried about it. It was always possible to wash, to this he was used to. It was surprising that there was no pain, It's definitely strange. Well, I seem to be the same. There are no special changes, only the whole body tingles, but every time it is quieter. I feel surprisingly good, even if the fatigue of recent years has disappeared. It's nice, only the skin has become paler. Or is it the light that falls like that? Sullenly stretching out his hand, Shikamaru tried to create bones. At the same moment a bone crawled out of the guy's hand with the characteristic sound of opening flesh. But as soon as that happened, Shikamaru's pupils immediately contracted. What he saw completely amazed him. It was beyond expectations. Grabbing this bone, Shikamaru examined it in surprise. It turned out to be completely grey, absolutely grey bone. Moreover, its strength changed, and the predominant element of yin was felt in the bone, which was not the case before. So this is what the random mutation is when taking the pill. It looks like my whole skeleton has changed. Due to the greater prevalence of yin, I will be able to use the bones to displace yin and accumulate yang. Simply put, I can seal a technique into the bone and make it act like an explosive seal or even a signal seal. Making fooing an inscription and using your own bones for this is something amazing. This will not only allow for clearer interactions with seals thanks to the pedigree, but it will even make them more durable. Now you don't even need to rely on chakra metal to create a ring. I can simply transform the bone into a ring, because due to the new features, I can more clearly change the shape of Shikatsumiyaku. And the binding of the pedigree to the ring will be easier to perform. This is certainly not Kaguya's original ability, which turns everyone who collided with a bone into dust, but this is many times greater than the main benefit of this genome. Now this ability is good for more than just Taijutsu. Shikamaru glanced at the status with interest. Name, Shikamaru Nara. Age, 10 years old. Faction, Nara Clan, Hidden Leaf Village. Ninja rank, Genin. Strength, 272, Stamina, 270, Speed, 266. Talent, 380, Chakra amount, 3,400, Chakra control, 190. Pedigrees, 5/7. Nara, Kaguya Confluence. Strength 425%, improved mastery of the element yin, 85%, unique body plus 42 to indicators, strength, endurance and speed. Improved genome, Shikatsumiyaku, mutation. Improved genome. Evolution, absent. Uchiha, power 400%, improved mastery of the element fire, 80%. Improved genome, Sharingan, completed. Evolution, absent. Inuzuka, strength 50%, upgrades of all senses plus 5 speed. Improved genome, absent. Uzumaki, 350% strength, improved control and chakra volume. Plus 35 to control, plus 1400 to chakra volume. Improved vitality and disposition to Fuinjutsu. Plus 5 to stamina. Elements. Wind release 11%. Earth release 44%. Fire release 108%. Yin release 117%. Yang release 35%. After examining the status, Shikamaru nodded contentedly. Not bad, I went directly to 400 talent and 300 stamina, and these are additional rewards. Moreover, there is still an unknown improved genome. Probably Kaguya's genes somehow influenced my main lineage and awakened something in me. Unfortunately, I don't feel anything. Shikamaru sullenly stretched out his hand, folded the seal and used his shadow jutsu. But everything turned out as before, he could not find any special changes. It's unpleasant. I essentially created a new genome, but until I can use it properly, I will definitely not receive a reward for it. Well, at least the shadows have become easier to perform, more alive, or something. The yang chakra was supposed to destabilize them, but, oddly enough, it doesn't harm them, which means I can create more interesting shadow jutsu if I try. Perhaps I can give them a more stable form, and this is an unprecedented jutsu in the Nara clan. Bringing in more physical energy has always created problems for our Haijutsu, but through fusion I was able to get around this problem. It remains only to identify the correct proportion of mixing chakra based on the Nara chakra and find your own proportion. Yin of course will prevail, so everything is clear here, but I will add yang. And if it is possible to stabilize the jutsu, it may even allow the shadows to be shaped, well, in theory. There is experience in creating ninjutsu, only it is based on simple manipulations of the clan chakra that I already know, but expressing what I have now received may not be easy. It's too early to talk about the transformation, but it's worth trying to understand how the new unknown genome works. With a serious attitude, Shikamaru returned to the pedigrees again. It is worth giving it a name, now it is unique and my own pedigree. No one in this world has it, I am the only representative of a not yet created clan. Impressive. Any name you can think of. Nara and Kaguya are already there, so it's worth considering, but I'm definitely not strong at this. After a little thought, Shikamaru shook his head. It doesn't matter, now it's worth doing other things. I will name it when I decide to form a clan and leave Nara. There are more important things to do now. With that in mind, Shikamaru took the reward for refusion and speed gains. Dash speed. Reach 250 speed points. Reward, 10,000 points, scroll of techniques. Lightning release chakra mode. My own blood. Combine 2 or more pedigrees. Reward, 5,000 destiny points, gene expansion pill. Upon receiving information about the new jutsu, Shikamaru nodded. Not bad, Raizeenn knows quite a few techniques even from the cloud, but he still does not have such a thing. This technique brought a lot of fame to the Reikage. It will come in handy if I will use lightning or create something of my own. I had thoughts about improving the 7 breaths, and now some plan has appeared. But, this is clearly for a long time, and the result? It doesn't matter. Putting the pill aside, Shikamaru finally decided to focus on other tasks. Yet now he had a whopping 90,000 points in stock, and this is a huge amount. It may well be enough for Senju's pedigree, and even left for the second extended genome, and then for their pumping. But for now, it was worth going through the tasks and collecting the maximum benefits. It was worth saying that the tasks became less and less every day, but their difficulty of completing them grew very noticeably. After this terrible pumping, new tasks will definitely not be completed in the next couple of years. Looking out for lucrative assignments, Shikamaru sighed after a while. It seems that everything, at least the most obvious, I did. No new ones appeared, unfortunately. Now it is possible to complete several tasks. A talent of 400, possession of the elements, possession of 5 bloodlines at 400%, possession of 5 genomes, and from it a branch to the extended genome. It is also worth highlighting 3 dojutsu, the evolution of one of the dojutsu, in my case the Sharingan. This, perhaps, is all, a little, but it is worth calculating the losses and benefits right now. It's worth setting aside the elemental and talent quest, as they will definitely increase when I get the new Derue lightning bloodline. Therefore, the variant with the extended genome should not be discarded, but on the contrary, it is worth acting now. I will not lose anything, but only gain. Therefore, there is only a variant with genome. I will acquire storm release to achieve metal release. In the end I will have 3 improved genomes, only 2 will remain. If it is profitable to act, then it is worth immediately taking genomes from dojutsu to complete the task. From a significant list of similar ones, I only know the Hyuuga well. There is just a sea of clans with dojutsu in the system. For example, the already famous Ketsuryugen of the Chinoiki clan, as well as many unmentioned in the main story that Shikamaru knew. Now, of course, he has raised awareness after long gatherings in the library or archive, so that some of these dojutsu and the clans that own them are known to him. The list is not small. Akuma clan, Ryokuryugen, Kyuuba clan, Yoruhagen and Haju clan, Hanigan. Shikamaru has read or heard about all these clans. For example, the first ones existed in Konoha for a very long time and was disbanded. Shikamaru had a glimpse of the dojutsu of this clan. But naturally I remembered everything. Still, there were many dojutsu in the world, but in his memories the information concerned only the main ones. It was important to replenish such knowledge. In general, the Akuma clan had a long-distance relationship with the Uchiha and were close friends with the Kosoku and Matsuima clan. Kosoku still exists in Konoha, and most of the clans Joinin serve under the direct leadership of the Hokage. They are like his main bodyguards. Members of this clan are masters of the use of threads in combat, as well as experts in raising birds. The Matsuima clan is a bit special as it did not belong to Konoha to begin with. But in the old days on the battlefield, Akuma, Matsuima, and Kosoku vowed eternal friendship, so even if this clan is from Sand Village, they stayed in touch. Perhaps this was the reason for their extermination in the last war. It is also possible that they were simply allowed to experiment, yet the Matsuima clan owned 2 improved genomes, and this is a rarity. The loss of this clan came at a cost to Hidden Sand. Now their strength has diminished too much due to such losses. It is difficult to say if there are survivors, only Kosoku can boast of their existence. The Akuma clan is disbanded, and this happened not so long ago, back in the days of the 4th Hokage. This happened largely due to the constant hunt for them. Their clan was weak after the war, and some members of the clan owned a special dojutsu, the very Ryokuryugen. These eyes made it possible to create a special type of fire and control it without hand seals. So maybe even Orochimaru had a hand in it. In any case, there are no more representatives of this clan in Konoha. They simply disappeared or simply lay low. In general, it was reasonable. Ryokuryugen. A very interesting dojutsu. There are not many records about it, but Shikamaru remembered the basis. It was primarily owned by the people of the Kyuuba clan, a rather secretive clan of the Leaf Village. The interesting thing is that this dojutsu was hidden from Orochimaru and at one time he hunted for it, but he allowed the last of the genomes to be tested, and now its owners do not exist at all. But, the clan is alive and they have every chance to awaken those eyes. Recently Shikamaru was leaning towards getting their bloodline, yet they, like Derue, had a predisposition for lightning and even those eyes. However, the method of awakening them is unknown. The clan is too secretive and this secret is unlikely to be easily obtained. So the idea of him should still be discarded. Acquiring this pedigree for such a price is useless without the genome, and the power of the eyes is not so impressive. All Shikamaru knew was the ability to see certain flows of electricity and somehow identify opponents by them. It sounds strange and incomprehensible, so it makes no sense to bet on these eyes. Hanigan. Special dojutsu of the Haju clan. Unlike previous eyes, these were slightly more famous for Shikamaru, even though their owners live in the land of flowers. In addition, unlike the first three, this dojutsu still exists and is used. After 10 years, each clan member is able to use his first form, which makes it possible to track chakra traces. There were several forms in total, 3 or 4, Shikamaru did not know for sure. There were vague records about this in the books, only the second stage was described in more detail. This is probably due to the fact that among the owners of this dojutsu there are no longer those who are able to pass through the second evolution. The second stage added the special ability to manipulate plants to the user of these eyes. This is not wood release, but rather the ability to manipulate only flowers and vines. Basically, this clan has only the likes of jutsu, and they live in favorable conditions. You can talk about different dojutsu for hours. There were more of them in this world than you might think. Much more than Shikamaru originally knew. Yet the original story only concerned a few people and their surroundings, it did not at all touch the hidden areas, lost clans or even those existing outside the village of List. In addition, even about the clans in Konoha itself, nothing is said in Naruto's history. Therefore, Shikamaru liked to study the world, he was not so limited, he was just huge, and there were much more dojutsu and special elements here than it seems at first glance. Shikamaru learned about all the dojutsu from the records in the archive, there was a lot of useful information. It is worth mentioning a few more dojutsu to the general list. Anshugan gives the wearer the ability to see clearly in absolute darkness and through aerosol obstacles such as smoke or fog. Kokugan is a telescopic vision that can be increased up to 15 kilometers during training. Regarding this dojutsu, there are incomprehensible records of super-fast attacks by users of this dojutsu and the ability to fold hand seals very quickly. But their owners were exterminated by the Uchiha, even at the time of the founding of hidden villages. The interesting thing is that the Uchiha were guilty of killing more than one clan of this world. Kinzigan is a mutated eye. Among the Uchiha, once in several generations, it is not uncommon for different eye mutations to appear. There is no mention of this in the main story, but some Uchiha did not always awaken the Sharingan, and sometimes weaker eyes, this is possibly one of those. Shikamaru only knew that there were several owners of these eyes, a whole branch of the clan, but they all died after using the abilities of the eyes. The ability made it possible to influence the body and mind of the victim, creating an effect similar to complete paralysis. This is all that is known. Ketsugan. One of the most interesting dojutsu for exchange, and its price is the same as the extended genome. Shikamaru took note of him. When there is a choice, this dojutsu will be on the elimination list along with Ketsuryugan. This dojutsu is quite famous, yet during the war it made enemies fearful and therefore the records of these eyes are quite detailed. Dojutsu allows the wearer to determine a person's elemental nature only by the type of chakra he is using. He is able to determine what kind of natural transformation the enemy will use, even before he applies it, by determining the type of chakra that forms when the enemy folds hand seals. It also allows you to see the faint outline of the enemy's vital organs, and in conclusion, the most interesting thing is armor yata. It was this armor that caused fear in its time in the struggle for power in the hidden cloud. This armor is a kind of analog of Susanoo, but judging by the records it is easier to master it, and there were also a lot of owners of these eyes at one time. Now, the hidden shadow village is still located on a remote island in the land of the cloud. There is little information about the clan, they have absolutely no contact with the world. Nibugan, inner eyes. Quite a mythical dojutsu, with an incredible awakening method. One should use the lost jutsu of the Esso clan while healing another person, and then at death of his own due to the waste of chakra, there is a small chance of awakening those eyes. The desire to save a person should be enormous, and the risk of dying himself with treatment should be more than 70%. It is not surprising that one does not hear about the eyes. The jutsu is lost, the clan is lost, everything is lost, even information. There is only a simple record. The owner is able to see all systems in the human body, chakra, immune, muscular, nervous, even cellular. It may be most desirable for a medic, but not for Shikamaru. Too incomprehensible. A tribute to Orochimaru, these archived entries are largely from his research. More precisely, the part that he probably left due to being unnecessary. It's amazing that the third allowed Shikamaru to see them. Although, everything can also be explained by the fact that the records are not so secret in fact. Everything about the structure and strength of the village, Shikamaru did not know and did not have access to such. In fact, his knowledge is just a dummy for the enemies of the leaf. In general, there are many dojutsu, too many to describe them all. There are a dozen similar ones, some descended from the main two, and some are simply the result of mutations. In any case, there are a lot of them. Shikamaru found it difficult to decide now which one to choose besides the Bakugan Haiga. Therefore, he decided to deal with the extended genome for now, and then reconsider everything again and make a final decision. Concentrating, Shikamaru chose the lineage of the Darue clan, Raizeenn. This was Darue's real surname and came from a rather powerful hidden cloud clan. In the old days, back in the days when the village was formed, the Raizeenn and Bai clans were among the main ones. Almost the same as Uchiha and Senju. There were no fewer wars in the regions of the Country of Lightning than in the region of the Country of Fire. The first Raikage and the second were brothers and came from the Raizeenn clan, but only the first one possessed Storm Release, the second brother did not receive such abilities. But this does not mean that he was weaker. His rule significantly strengthened the power in the villages and he was rightfully considered the wisest of all the Raikage. In this he was somewhat like Tobirama, who established the first academy and raised his own village. The first Raikage, on the other hand, was a terrible drunkard and womanizer, but his strength could well rival the so-called strongest third Raikage. So it is not surprising that he became the Kage of his own village during the time of power formation. Clan B and Raizeenn were old allies, so it should come as no surprise that Darue would soon become a student of the third, and in the future would become a Raikage. In the Hidden Cloud, there are generally several interesting clans with unique abilities, speed release, storm release, and even several interesting dojutsu. In addition, do not forget about a hidden village on a remote island in the Village of Shadows. It also comes from the cloud and was once a frequent village. In addition, once in a village in the Yaku clan, which is now almost extinct, several Shinobi with the release of energy appeared, and this was a real extended genome, with unique features. Unfortunately, Shikamaru's wind control was mediocre, so he preferred the element of metal. In any case, in the world, the owners of the extended genome can be counted on the fingers of one hand, and Shikamaru has ever heard of only two similar ones. One of whom never appeared in the manga or participated in the war. Even though his genome was exactly the same as that of the third Tsushikage. Raizeenn, 50% strength, improved mastery of the element lightning, 10% storm release. After making a choice, Shikamaru immediately bought a new pedigree, after which a long learning process began. This leveling will definitely take a few days before the mission. Several hours later, blue lightning flashed in the cave, and then Shikamaru opened his eyelids. With a glint in his eyes, the guy raised his head to the ceiling and exhaled all the accumulated fatigue. Excellent. Everything went as well as possible. I feel the new genome, it is completely different from anything I have owned until now. This storm is terribly strange. It's a pity, I won't be able to check. Now it's better to keep your head down while you can. Lightning is quite destructive, and I do not know jutsu or standard seals of this element. At that thought, Shikamaru plunged into himself again, closing his eyes. So what's there on assignments? Terrifying talent. Reach 400 talent points. Reward, 10,000, fear of earthly wrath. Collecting the award, Shikamaru frowned. I'm not surprised that I was given Kinjutsu, this has happened before, it's just too difficult and rather cruel to perform. Kakuzu had to try. The technique is unique and very powerful, but for me it is not very useful. I'm definitely not going to become a doll with threads. Even the cloud style that I learned will be more useful. I now at least know how ninja from the land of lightning fight. Well, let it lie, maybe one day I will find a use for it. In any case, I returned 10,000, and this is already a success. Taking a look at the status, Shikamaru nodded in satisfaction, a lot increased. Talent, chakra, even physical indicators have increased slightly, and the 6th slot out of 7 in the bloodlines has also been filled. The lightning release had increased by 10%, and now Shikamaru could well use techniques of this nature. True, with 10% the strength of the techniques will be rather weak, and he certainly will not be able to master jutsu, where strong control and mastery of the elements are needed. Anyway, it doesn't matter now. Shikamaru knew what to do, so he spent the 10,000 points he had just acquired on 5 bloodline boost pills without any problems. Immediately after that, he began to strengthen the resulting lineage of Derue. He was eager to leave this place and look at storm release, but he was eager to get another interesting ability. Therefore, he liked everything that was happening incredibly, not so much because of the strength, but because of the variety of abilities. First pill. Second. Third and fourth. By the time it came to the 5th pill, Shikamaru was already completely covered in sweat, but a smile of pleasure never left his face. The 5th pill was needed for a different pedigree. Therefore, having made the choice on Uzumaki, Shikamaru finally allowed him to reach the 5th bloodline of 400%, thus completing another task. After another notification, Shikamaru reopened his tired eyes. All of these gains turned out to be quite exhausting. Even the old wounds from the hasty strengthening of the Uzumaki bloodline made themselves felt. No matter how hard Shikamaru tried, he just couldn't suppress the headache and nausea. His past haste had hurt him and now he could not solve this problem even by strengthening again. Anyway, he was smiling anyway. He finally came close to the expanded genome, and his status underwent even greater changes. Moreover, he already felt a completely different sense of strength in the body. Name, Shikamaru Nara. Age, 10 years old. Faction, Nara Clan, Hidden Leaf Village. Ninja rank, Genin. Strength, 275, Stamina, 278, Speed, 269. Talent, 480, Chakra size, 3750, Chakra control, 215. Pedigrees, 6/7. Nara, Kaguya Confluence. Strength 425%, improved mastery of the element Yin, 85%, unique body plus 42 to indicators, strength, endurance and speed. Improved genome, Shikatsumiyaku, mutation. Improved genome. Evolution, absent. Uchiha, power 400%, improved mastery of the element fire, 80%. Improved genome, Sharingan, completed. Evolution, absent. Inuzuka, strength 50%, upgrades of all senses plus 5 speed. Improved genome, absent. Uzumaki, 400% strength, improvements in control and chakra volume. Plus 40 to control, plus 1600 to chakra volume. Improved vitality and disposition to fuinjutsu. Plus 5 to stamina. Improved genome, absent. Raizeenn, strength 425%, improved mastery of the element lightning, 85%. Improved genome, storm release 50%. Elements. Wind release 12%. Earth release 50%. Fire release 109%. Lightning release 85%. Yin release 121%. Yang release 35%. With a smirk, Shikamaru immediately looked at the completed assignments. Power of the elements. Reach control in at least 3 elements 50%. Rewards, 10,000, chakra storage expansion pill. Alien blood. Raise 5 pedigrees, up to 400%. Reward, 10,000 points, a bloodline enhancement pill, a scroll of 10 random rank techniques. Taking the awards and putting everything on the shelves, Shikamaru nodded contentedly. Everything seems to be going great. Now there is the last bloodline. Unfortunately, I will not be able to take the Yamanaka bloodline, like those 2,000 points for the genjutsu tasks, but it is better to lose 2,000 than get another useless bloodline. Sensory is definitely not worth it. It may be better than Inuzuka, but not much. With limitations I have to discard some things. Fortunately, I was able to take the main award, but 2,000 still need to be deleted from the plans. It's good that not 5, at least I will take it, but I wonder what will happen if I take a special award when I have all 7 pedigree slots are busy. What about Yamanaka? Question. Thinking about the pedigrees, Shikamaru suddenly smiled. But I wonder, I'll take, for example, Senju's pedigree, get Mokuton, stuff like that. How will Tsunade react? I, in fact, will acquire a pedigree, even cleaner than hers, and she is a princess, the last representative of the family. In that case, would it be wise to invite her to continue the family? Shikamaru shook his head, grinning vulgarly. I don't even remember when my hormones played like that. I didn't even see her, but I'm already making it up. Although, who am I kidding, who would not want such a beauty? The only problem is that I have to hide the power, otherwise it will cause even more problems on my head. Find out about Mokuton Dance or Orochimaru, and Sasuke will then obviously not be the main target for this snake, and Dance will do everything at the time of the death of the third for my capture. Even without Mokuton, he may well take advantage of the situation and rake me to him until the new kid is determined, and then look for fistulas, attach Fui into my tongue and let me experiment. If I were in his place, I would have done so. Assessing my behavior from the outside, I'm too suspicious. If I had a similar character like Danza's, I would not just sit for so long. He will surely have a plan, not today so tomorrow. With a grin, Shikamaru shook his head. I digress, let's start already. Since all the conditions have been met and in recent months Shikamaru has reached 50% in Earth release, he decided to finally get down to one of the main dishes of the day, the extended genome. As soon as the exchange for the expanded genome was over, Shikamaru immediately threw the fortune-strengthening pill into his mouth. This pill was supposed to extinguish all pain by about 40%, judging by the description. Shikamaru did not know exactly how the acquisition of the extended genome would affect him, but it is likely that it could be very painful. It was better to play it safe now, and at the same time find out the full effect of these pills. A minute later, the pill worked, and the extended genome began to digest and change the body. The ability to transform chakra into special elements came from genes. Often the owner of the extended genome owned the improved one, but in the case of Shikamaru, although it was, but his genome was not associated with the extended, as, for example, it was associated with the same unaki. The genes have changed, yet even though the chakra in humans is almost always the same, the way they mix and use it is always different. Specific transformations depend on genetics. In the old days, improved genomes were not uncommon, but over time, completely new ones appeared, and the old ones disappeared in the war. Now Shikamaru was acquiring a very ancient extended genome. He did not even find any records about him, but judging from the description in the system, he allowed to own metals. Although he knew the use of dust release and its power, Shikamaru was still ready to take a risk, because he did not see himself at all in controlling dust, and getting something unique was also not bad. With his Sharingan and Shikatsumiyaku, he wanted something new. 10 minutes later, an unpleasant pain pierced the guy's body, but the pill instantly suppressed it, and then everything began to pass like clockwork. The pain didn't build up anymore. Shikamaru's body exuded transparent mucus, and he quickly became completely covered with it. After about an hour, everything was finally over. He did not even lose consciousness and he still succeeded in obtaining a new extended genome. Finally, he got what he wanted. Extended genome, 1/1. Metal release 50%. With a satisfied grin, Shikamaru nodded. As I thought, the limit for one extended genome. Moreover, having considered in more detail the instructions for this restriction, Shikamaru sighed gloomily. These conditions are even more severe than when obtaining bloodlines. To obtain the next extended genome, you need to reach 20 years, and then 30. There is no limit as such, but once every 10 years is already too much for me. Fortunately, there is a pill, but its price is not that easy to take. Moreover, there is only one use for a simple pill, and then you need to buy an improved one. In general, I am not particularly surprised, but I can't say that I am happy with this outcome. I looked closely at the genome energy and something else, but now, after reading a little more of the instruction that had just appeared, Shikamaru darkened even more. Getting the extended genome changed some of the system settings. If there were any. Shikamaru still couldn't figure out how everything worked. This system adjusted itself to the situation. Well, at least it didn't harm. So, now there is also a restriction on the improved genomes. I also expected this, but not so soon. Fortunately, everything is much better here, one pedigree, one genome. In my case, it's not even a problem, I can afford them. With a frowning face, Shikamaru exhaled and quickly returned to his former mood. Now it was not worth worrying too much, it was even more interesting. Plus, it's time to test your new ability and then start getting others. Concentrating, Shikamaru thought. At the heart of metal is matter and its control, almost like Doton, so it's worth trying to create something with the help of simple things. Now I am faced with a problem, because I do not know the techniques of my new element, just like with Storm. Well, it's worth trying to interact with what is. At this thought, Shikamaru focused on his own chakra. Change the mass or structure, this is how Doton works. In other cases, you can give the chakra itself elemental properties, such as the stone cannon technique. Here, both the transformation of the elements and the shaping are involved, as a result of which, the Shinobi simply creates a stone bullet from the chakra, which eventually leaves the user's mouth and increases in size. Quite an interesting technique. I need to do something similar by this analogy. I doubt that I could turn the earth into gold, chakra is needed here. Only now, Thinking, Shikamaru gloomily scratched his forehead. In fact, it is easy to say what to do. The chakra cannot be called up and transformed by the power of thought, it needs a command, a special set of such commands. Simply put, hand seals. Without them, the transformation will not work, at least in the case of Shikamaru, who just received this element and did not own a special dojutsu. If you look like that, somehow people with enhanced genomes were able to understand. So I should think, with a determination in his gaze, Shikamaru stretched out his hand forward and concentrated. Come on. Instinctively, Shikamaru began to realize how to transform chakra in the proportion he needed. At that very moment, something started happening. After almost 100 attempts to transform something, Shikamaru faced a problem. Without control, simply directing the chakra, it is too difficult to give the chakra elemental properties. After a few more tries, Shikamaru began to use the typical hand seals of the elements of earth and fire. In the end he began to work out a little. After another hour of continuous attempts, Shikamaru wiped the sweat from his forehead and picked up a small metal ball. Not bad. I kind of understood the principle. In fact, there can be almost any seals, but there must be a certain sequence. Some seals interact better with the main 5 natures. This is a kind of language, and you need to control the chakra, you can't do without them. I instinctively understand how to interact with my genome, but here I have to work hard to do something like that and obviously reduce the chain that I have heaped up here. Shikamaru exhaled and began to fold the seals one by one, signaling the chakra. He had not yet identified a more logical sequence, so there were too many seals. He already knew which ones to remove to reduce the chain of interaction, but so far it could have worked like that. Having folded the last, 49th hand seal of the serpent, Shikamaru touched a small pebble and said, "Change." At the same moment, literally before our eyes, thanks to the chakra, the stone was transformed and turned into a silvery white metal of exactly the same shape as it was. It was no longer a simple stone, but a real piece of lithium, at least Shikamaru believed it was lithium. The structure was very similar. It was quite lightweight, and the appearance of lithium can be discerned, yet he had already dealt with it in the past. In the calm sea there was a ship, next to which was a small boat. There were many people on board in the same uniform. These were the sentinels, and now they all looked with fear at the 3 girls. They hijacked their ship and beat the commodore and 2 captains to a pulp. Although the girls looked fragile, it took them a couple of seconds to completely capture the ship. Each sentinel knew who they were, and this made them even more fearful, even if the invaders were just girls. "We're occupying this ship. If anyone twitches." The red-haired girl looked menacingly at the bunch of sentinels and smiled predatory. The men nodded. Yes, lady, we dare not. HMPH. Well, nice, Robin, how is the connection? The black-haired girl smiled calmly and said, "All Den Mushi are destroyed, they will not be able to contact anyone." Nami exhaled. "Okay, one less problem. Looking at the white-haired girl, Nam asked. Aaliyah, are they alive? Moving away from the three beaten men, Aaliyah nodded. Yes, they are fine, but you could be nicer. Better. Weren't you the one who knocked that long-nosed one out? I didn't on purpose. The girl was embarrassed. The girls laughed, and then Robin said. Okay, I think we can part now. Aaliyah and Nami looked at Robin in surprise and asked in one voice. Break down. Robin smiled and said. I need to find something, the captain seems to have forgotten about it, but I haven't. I need one island in the new world, so we are not on our way. Aaliyah asked with concern. Are you sure? It's very dangerous in the new world. I'm sure I have nothing to do in East Blue, you can handle it without me. The girl sighed sadly and hugged Robin. Nami buried herself in the shoulder of the brunette and whispered. Be careful. Robin smiled fondly and nodded, then turned and walked down to the boat. Waving goodbye, she raised the sail and began to sail away. Now her path lay in the new world, on an island called Lover. It is not known whether he exists, but in the diary that the girl deciphered, it was on this island that the pirate of the past left his treasures. Moore wanted to find the island a little later, but Robin did not want to wait. She felt that she could find something important there, so she went there without hesitation, even if it was dangerous. Looking at the departing marine ship, Robin sighed. I hope they can handle it, even East Blue might be in trouble. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. When the small boat was out of sight, Nami and Aaliyah looked at each other and sighed. She'll be all right, won't she? Nami nodded. She can cope, hiding in the shadows, she can be no worse than me. Saying this, Nami turned to the still kneeling sentinels and shouted, Why are you seated? Set sail. A few days later, the girls finally arrived at Reverse Mountain. The Eternal POS at Whiskey Peak was a good helper, and Nami's amazing navigation ability allowed them to get there without incident. Since it was impossible to climb the mountain as before, now it was necessary to cross the calm belt. It was for this that the girls captured the Sentinel ship. They had to search for him for almost a month, but the results were worth it. The ship, the bottom of which was lined with Kairoski, was found, so they had a chance to return to East Blue. It remains only to cross the most dangerous region of the ocean. Nami stood at the helm and shouted. Turning around, heading for East Blue. Asterisk huahu asterisk. With a turn of the steering wheel, the ship turned in the same way and they headed towards Calm Belt. It was good to have a marine ship, otherwise they simply would not be able to return. At this time, high in the sky, above the ship, pushing off from the air, there was a man, and did not take his eyes off the moving ship. I'm sorry, Captain, but I'll keep an eye on them a little longer. When they cross the calm belt, I'll leave them alone. Couldn't I just let them go? With that, Sanji kicked off the air and followed the retreating ship. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. On an island near the Sabaudi archipelago, a small ship has moored. As soon as the sail sank, the short old man waved his hand, and the ship turned into sawdust and flew into the old man's body. Smiling, the old man stroked the cat sitting on his shoulder and said, I knew that we would not have enough food, you eat more than me, do you know? Meow. The cat meowed and wagged its tail. Ha ha, I understand, in prison we were not very fed, well, nothing, now we will get food and go to Isla Maria. Meow, meow. After petting the cat again, the old man went further into the forest. The island did not seem to be inhabited, but there were many beasts on it, the auras of which Sagan sensed while still at sea. He now needed to find food, and then go to the new world, to his home island. Thus, each of the Blood Star crew went on their own adventure. Everyone was in anticipation of what will happen in 2 years. Will they get stronger? Will they be able to get to Dressrosa? One thing was clear, everyone will face difficulties, and the adventure will not be as easy as it seemed at first glance. Panja Castle. Today the Gorosia have gathered for a meeting again. There were 3 important things to discuss. First, this is the position of Admiral of the Fleet. After Sengoku's resignation, the seat was empty, so they had to choose a new candidate. They had 2 options in mind, so they had to decide something. The second, no less important case, concerned the Shichibukai. After the Sea Devil killed 2 of them, it was necessary to select new candidates. Although the Gorosia usually do not interfere with the selection of new Shichibukai, the situation was slightly different now. 2 of them are dead, and the rest did not even appear in Marineford. Should Shichibukai be left at all? Maybe this power is no longer needed if it was so easily destroyed by a rookie pirate. The third thing to be decided was perhaps the most important. If the Admiral took the place of the Admiral of the Fleet, then the place would be vacated, so it was necessary to choose a worthy candidate. After Kizaru's death, there were 2 places, so the choice had to be made as soon as possible. Now the patrol is weak, it is impossible to continue to be inactive. So, the oldest of the Gorosei spoke, taking his katana tighter, he continued. Sengoku has resigned, we have 2 candidates, how will we choose? An old man with a birthmark suggested. Shall we vote? The longest in the hall shook his head. Voting is not a bad method, but each of them has its positive and negative qualities. Each of them can be a good admiral. Another old man banged his cane on the floor and said. The main thing in the patrol is strength, do not forget why they exist, their qualities are not important, you need to choose the strongest. And which of them is stronger? The blonde asked. The old man tapped his cane with his fingers and said. They have to find out for themselves, let them fight, and the winner will take the place of the Admiral of the Fleet. Hope you like the video. Like, share and subscribe the channel. Also make sure you tell me your recommendation in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching.